devout lolicon Shaggy and Scooby go to Japan. So
That's like
No.
his thing. Instead of weed in the Japanese version, it's like he likes little girls.
Panties or something.
Yeah, would you do it for a pair of panties, Scoob? Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Seasonal Discharge. Today I am joined by Tamika Likes to Draw
I am here.
and iballwart.
Hello.
Today we are going to be talking about the fall season of anime in 2024, and the first show we're going to be talking about is Dragon Ball Daima. This was Akira Toriyama's last thing he worked
Rest
on.
in peace. This was his departing work, his final gift to the Dragon Ball fan base. The thing is, he knew that he was like on the way out, and he was like, "Bro, I cannot let the last series that people remember from Dragon Ball be fucking Dragon Ball Super with that inconsistent as fuck animation quality. Nah, man, no shot."
Okay,
It
we can definitely get into that.
it's people out here unironically saying that Dragon Ball GT is better than this. I cannot let this stand. I cannot let I cannot let myself die knowing that like people who aren't me might have done Dragon Ball better than me. So I got to make something like actually good. And then he made Dragon Ball Daima.
Okay, well, if it's so great, Coco, why don't you summarize it for us?
Okay. So, you guys might have heard of, well, actually I just said it. You guys might have heard of a interesting show called Dragon Ball GT. Step into the Grand Tour, all that shit. Well, Toriyama was just like, what if we just did that like again? Like, but instead of just Goku being turned into a kid, everyone gets turned into a kid. It's kind of like what he did with the Broly movie. I guess Toriyama was looking at previous concepts that like other people contributed to the Dragon Ball franchise and was like, yeah, so what if I took that and I just made it like mine, like my version? So like we got like this more improved version of Broly where he's actually like a character. I mean, I have like nostalgia bias for the original Broly, so
Okay,
original Broly's
except
my
that
favorite.
time that he just objectively made the Goku dad worse.
Well, I mean that one is kind of debatable because what happened with Bardock in the Super manga was like both him and Toyotaro, and we don't really know for sure whose idea it was to basically make it so that Bardock actually was low-key kind of a good guy, in spite of the fact that he was also fucking genociding planets on 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 mass as like his career, but whatever. Dragon Ball GT was a show that was sort of made to take Dragon Ball back to its more adventure-oriented roots, you could say. It was basically meant to be like one huge callback to like the original Dragon Ball. They were like, we want to put Adventure Piece back on the menu. The only problem with that is that unfortunately, the adventure half of that story happened to be like the weakest part of the story, and it was more the second half of the story that people actually like, which is the part that more closely resembles Z, where you got like these lines of villains coming through, and Goku taking on them Dragon Ball Z style one by one. The Z warriors thrown at them, they get their asses rocked. Goku comes in, wins, yada yada. Um, so then, we got the OG himself, like, let me show you how to do an actual callback to OG Dragon Ball in the form of Dragon Ball Daima. So we got, like I said before, all the characters being turned into kids. It's another adventure where it's not like going into space like GT. They're going into like the demon realm, but they're like, it's kind of like a space adventure, which we'll go into in a bit. But yeah,
Yeah, the king of the demon realm was like, what if I turned them all into babies?
yeah, so the story basically starts with the new Demon King. I guess he just became Demon King because he found out that Dabura is dead. Dabura was working for Babidi in the Buu saga and he got fucking killed by Buu because he was pissing Buu off. Um, and then they're like, oh, but wait, there's like all these powerful people who managed to like take on Buu, so they might be like a serious threat to me in the demon realm. So what if we depowered them using the Dragon Balls by turning them into kids? And I found that scene very interesting because that guy, he was basically watching a clips show of Dragon Ball, and in that clips show, you see Gotenks Characters who are kids, who are
What
children.
a dog shit plan this guy had.
Like you see Gotenks, and there are children who are giving Super Boo a run for his money and are Super Saiyan 3. And if he rewinded even further, he would see even Goku himself kicking some ass as a kid, and Gohan, who for some reason hasn't featured in the show yet and might not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But he probably would have realized this isn't going to work. This isn't going to make them not a threat because even as
Yeah.
children, they're still pretty capable fighters.
Yeah, I love how this character, when other people talk about him, they're like, he's super powerful, and he's also really, really clever and smart. But then he does this, and it's like, it kind of seems like he's a dumbass, but whatever.
His personality also comes off like he's really stupid.
Yeah, like really childish.
There's also the very intentional irony of the fact that he didn't want to draw attention to the demon realm, but he ended up doing so by preemptively turning all the characters into kids.
It was the Streisand effect.
So, good job, Demon King. Fucking dumbass. But yeah, it just goes on from there. What did you guys think of the show?
Well, I am not as familiar with all the Dragon Ball lore as you two are. I remember watching Dragon Ball Z when I was a kid, and I remember some of GT too, because my first thought when I checked this show out was, didn't this exact thing happen before? But I was just remembering Goku getting turned into a kid in that one, apparently, I guess. So I was pretty confused. I remember the Buu Saga stuff, but even though I don't know every single thing about Dragon Ball, really entertaining, and I understood the current plot. Like everything made sense, so even a new viewer who hasn't seen Dragon Ball could still get a lot of enjoyment out of this, I think. I thought the animation stuff was really good. It was fun. The characters were fun, all that stuff, so
The good thing about this show is that this show does take place almost immediately after the Buu saga.
Yeah, I mean, it
yeah.
ignores the non-canon adaptations like GT or Super.
It takes place almost immediately after Majin Buu. I think they said like 9 months after or something like that. Basically, you only need to have seen, well, you don't really need to have seen anything since they give you a refresher at the start. But,
Yeah.
if you've seen only Z, you're not like missing out on much going into the story at the
No,
very
I'm
least.
telling you, like, that's my unironic take is Super is not canon. Like, it's such Daima is like such a perfect follow-up. It's like literally, it was just like, and now here's the direct natural continuation of the story from where we left off.
Well, it's actually very interesting because I read the Dragon Ball Super manga, and
You read? No way.
yes, I do, but only stuff with pictures. So if you want me to
Okay.
read words, I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, I read the Dragon Ball Super manga, and it's aight. It's aight. That's pretty much all I have to say on that. And a lot of people were pretty disappointed that we are not getting. Well, like when this show was initially announced, a lot of people were pretty disappointed that we're not getting adaptations of like the Moro arc and stuff like that, and that we're getting what essentially appeared to be diet Dragon Ball GT. Like, like you had a bunch of people being like, "Oh my God, what the fuck is this Muppet ass show? Give me the fucking Moro arc already, damn it!"
See, that's like a cultural difference right there between I bet the Japanese were like hella hyped about this.
Yeah, the Japanese fans.
Yeah, like you eyeball, you just said like you started with Z and that's the normal experience for like most Western
And
fans.
that is a sin. If you haven't watched Dragon Ball yet, watch the original first.
Most have not seen the original, which I mean I don't have strong feelings about it. I think they're both good.
I don't know. It's interesting because I don't know why people are just assuming that this project means we won't get an animated adaptation of the super arcs in the manga because we probably will once this series is wrapped up because I'm assuming Toyotaro is going to be spearheading the franchise from here on out. I mean, I know it's Toriyama's
Yeah.
son that now owns Dragon Ball, but yeah, I don't know. When the show first got announced, I was like, the only thing I'm not really vibing with, like, I'm not exactly like triggered at the idea of like, oh my God, they're making the characters like kids again. What is this cutifying of Dragon Ball? Because uh first of all, Kid Goku is best Goku. I love the original Dragon Ball. It is probably my favorite anime of all time. And
But
I
he's not fat
and
anymore.
I hate that since my attention span has become complete dog shit, I can barely enjoy it now. Born to OG Dragon Ball, forced to Z. You know how it is. Um, but yeah, no, that is actually one of the things that I did take slight issue with when they showed some of the initial promo art for this show. Not necessarily Goku not being fat anymore, but I mean Goku being a fat fuck as a kid is what makes his design so cute. Uh, but I'm just not the biggest fan of Toriyama's modern art style. His art style changed quite a bit over the years, especially after the Dragon Ball Z manga had ended. Like if you look at all the hobby art he just draws, I would probably say not quite as much of a fan. I don't like how he makes all the characters slender and all that. Not
Yeah,
quite a fan. So
still better than Toyotaro
I
though.
wasn't looking forward to nah, that's debatable. That's actually very debatable to be honest. But I wasn't looking forward to that. But then we started getting the trailers and I was like, okay, the show looks pretty good. The art style actually kind of looks like an interesting blend of his modern art style and his old art style, which I kind of like. You know, it kind of gave me like GT vibes in a way, but like slightly cutified. It didn't look like the worst possible scenario, which was
Yeah.
the
No,
modern art
here's
style.
my thing is, and by the way, I going in thought like from the concept, I was like, oh, this is like the dumbest, most nostalgia pandery show.
Hmm.
But I do like it. But I think like more importantly is like the character design. Like I love that the Demon King guy is just like a a classic OG Toriyama nasty little guy.
Hmm.
We gotta bring back the nasty little guys. Everyone in Super is like, I'm a big buff man.
And that's why they need to bring back Garlic Jr. Since they're going to be adapting old concepts from the movies, they need to bring Garlic Jr. because Garlic Jr. is basically Pilaf. Although Garlic Jr.'s transformation is a big buff man, so.
Well, I guess there's still time. He could also turn into a big buff man.
I mean, I don't really get the impression that this character is a fighter, but I guess it depends on what will happen when he gets the third eye, the eye of Sauron. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things he's after is he wants to get the third eye or whatever it's fucking called because it'll give him significant power that will allow him to retain his control over the demon realm.
He
Um,
should have just wished for that. He
yeah,
could have just wished for that and left, and no one would have been the wiser.
but Aarlon, if he did that, then there'd be no plot.
Well, he didn't do that because he's really fucking stupid.
Well, at least they have the excuse that he thought he would get 3 wishes, but he actually
Hmm.
only got
Yeah.
one. And I get they mentioned that afterwards, like, well, you should have wished for the other thing.
Although on the subject of the art style and the animation, I actually do kind of like the fact that the flashbacks that we do see actually do look a lot more. Somehow they managed to pull it off. They managed to have art that's even more accurate to the manga than the original Z anime already was. And I was actually looking into who the character designer for this show was and like who the art director was. I just assumed it was Toriyama himself, although I'm pretty sure Toriyama did do some art for it. I forget the guy's name, but the guy who is like the character designer and lead artist on this actually is kind of in a similar boat to Toyotaro. He got his start in like making fan manga in Toriyama's art style, and then he eventually got like a character design and lead animator position on Dragon Ball GT. So, you know, he's been around on the series for a while, which explains why the series is so good. It looks so good. The best animation we've had in an animated Dragon Ball project, a TV animated Dragon Ball project, I should say, in a while. Because once again, the animation in Dragon Ball Super, I mean,
Is ass.
Dragon Ball
It's
Super has its
horrible.
moments, like especially in the Tournament of Power, but at the start, like in the first two arcs, especially in the Battle of Gods arc, oh my God, it's so fucking bad. It's
I
terrible.
just hate it design wise. I hate the Super Saiyan blue and all the different colors. I hate Goku black because
You
I'm
hate
racist.
you hate
Yeah.
Goku Black, but that's them canon. That's you know how they've been doing the whole thing of we're gonna take movie ideas and put them in main canon. Uh, maybe I'm reaching when I say this, but I'm gonna assume that that was their way of adapting Turles into the Dragon Ball canon. And Turles is the main villain of Dragon Ball, the Tree of Dragon Ball Tree of Might movie. and his whole thing is he's a character who happens to look exactly like Goku. No explanation whatsoever. He just does. And I think the concept behind the character is what if Goku fought a character who was basically himself
Yeah, like a clone.
if he didn't bump his head.
Yeah, I
And
mean that's a very popular trope, so I guess I can understand why they would do something like that. That's
yeah,
basically in every superhero movie eventually. They fight like an evil clone of themselves, or like a
like a
the new thing
Venom,
is alternate dimension. Yeah, or like a Venom type
Yeah.
thing,
a
yeah.
Venom, a Shadow the Hedgehog, etc.
Yeah, Shadow. I mean Sonic did it twice. We got Shadow and we have Metal Sonic, so they probably did it more than twice. I'm about to get educated, I'm sure.
And
Yeah, they
Cold
did.
Steel the Hedgehog.
Steel
And
Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Surge. But one thing I did want to talk about in regards to this show, I mean, Arlon, you kind of hinted at it earlier. It's like, yeah, so Super doesn't exist. Fuck that. Um,
Retcon a bunch of shit. He straight up just does not give a fuck.
they retcon a lot of stuff in this show. I think one of the earliest examples that clued people into the fact that Toriyama was gonna completely disregard everything that was established in Super was when they explained how Kibito and the Supreme Kai got out of their fusion. Because in Dragon Ball Z, it's established that the Patara rings are permanent. If you fuse with those, you're stuck like that forever. Um, but somehow they just unfused in the middle of the Buu saga. It's never really explained how it happened, but in Dragon Ball Super, Super established that there actually is a 30-minute timer on Potara Fusion, just like with Fusion Dance Fusion. But then, what is it? Daima came back and was just like, nope, actually, uh, it is still permanent. And the reason why Kibito and Supreme Kai were able to unfuse, and same with Goku and Vegeta, is because there's actually just a gas inside Boo's body that unfuses you. And it's like, oh, okay, neat.
I feel like there's three possibilities.
hmm
One, Toriyama hates Super, and he's like, "Fuck you, Super! I'm gonna stomp all of your lore." Two,
That'd be very funny though, because he did come up with the ideas for that.
two, he didn't come up with the ideas for it, and his involvement was way over exaggerated, and he just didn't know about any of it. Or three, he's just forgetting things he established already, which he definitely does have a record of doing.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, this is a story that takes place before Super and doesn't, I mean, very clearly also takes place in a different timeline. Otherwise, like, these events would have been acknowledged one way or another in Super at some point, and they just haven't been. So, like, it's not really beholden to anything that Super establishes, you know? Like, one of the other things that they change the origin of the Dragon Balls. In Super, it's established that the Namekians chipped off their own Dragon
Oh,
Balls
it's so
from
stupid.
giant planet. Okay, so in Dragon Ball Z, it's established that the Namekians made the Dragon Balls. And then Super comes in and is like, well, actually, there were these giant planet-sized Dragon Balls that are scattered across the universe. And the Namekians came across these giant planet-sized Dragon Balls and chipped pieces off of them
I hate
to make
Super. I hate everything it adds to the lore. It's all so bad and dumb.
to make their own Dragon Balls. And then Daima kind of comes in, and I guess, in all fairness, this doesn't really contradict the possibility of the whole planet-sized Dragon Balls thing, but Daima kind of comes in and is like, actually, the first ever set of Dragon Balls that were made in the Demon Realm, by this old Namekian guy that
He's
is
so cool.
he's hanging around with the king and Supreme Kai's brother.
Man, when
Um,
he made the Dragon Balls come to him and they like forced them to go active, that
mhm.
was so sick.
I was sitting there like that's actually so incredibly broken, and I'm glad that that's a limited ability. Because if Dende could learn how to do that, then the Dragon Balls would be busted forever. So,
He would. Toriyama would too.
I mean, the thing is, when you think about it, it doesn't make a difference whether or not they do that because the series is no longer about searching for the Dragon Balls. And like the whole having to wait 1 year for the Dragon Balls to come back thing hasn't mattered to the plot in like a very long time. Like in the Namekian saga, obviously like planet Namek gets destroyed. They use the Dragon Balls to bring them back, and then they just time skip 1 year to like use them again. So like it doesn't like the whole so like yeah, even though it would make the Dragon Balls like incredibly busted, like it doesn't make that much of a difference what if they can just force the Dragon Balls out of their sleep whenever they want. Like it doesn't really change anything meaningfully, so whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's that whole origin, the new origin of the Dragon Balls is tied into another retcon, which is that the Namekians are in fact not aliens. They are demons
Wow.
from the
They're
demon
still
realm.
they're still aliens, they're just also demons.
Yeah, they're demons from the demon realm, which is a nice little retcon and also a cute reference to the fact that when King Piccolo was introduced in the original Dragon Ball, he was introduced as a demon. So I kind of like the fact that we've actually managed to like circle back into just being like, yeah, the Namekians actually are demons now, as opposed.
It's all so good. I'm sorry, like Daima, it just has the sauce. That's how I felt watching it. I was just like, I feel like I'm actually watching Dragon Ball.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really does have the sauce. No, I actually like that retcon. It is a
Yeah.
really because I like the fact that it actually is. I mean, it is kind of funny how so their explanation is if a creature has pointy ears, there's a chance that they might be a demon or are from the demon realm. And let me tell you, the theories that people were cooking up as a result of that information were fucking insane. Because guess what happens to a Saiyan's ears when they turn great ape? Their ears
Holy
get
shit.
their ears get pointy. So everyone was like, "Oh my God, are the Saiyans also from the demon realm? Is everything just demons now? Is that Demon Ball Z? Is that what we're doing?" But
Man, what you know what I hope they you were saying like they keep bringing back old stuff. I hope
hmm
they bring back the ape transformations from GT. But good.
from OG Dragon Ball.
No, from GT. You know he gets like doesn't he get like a super ape form in GT?
Baby Vegeta gets that, but that's like a the way that it works in GT is that you have to like tap into the power of the Great Ape form to unlock Super Saiyan 4 because it's like a super primal transformation. But like neither Goku nor Vegeta like actually have a Great Ape transformation. It was a villain that possessed Vegeta's body who
Uh
who had like a Great Ape thing. It was like
well
a whole
anyway, they should do that because I like forms.
so one thing that I wanted to talk about, I kind of mentioned earlier a little bit, is how the series is kind of like Dragon Ball GT, where it's kind of like a space adventure, but instead of a space adventure, it's more like a different realm. Um, in the Namekian saga in Dragon Ball Z, a lot of people point out that that arc, on some level, takes some inspiration from Star Wars. Frieza's like mildly inspired by Palpatine, and I thought looking at like the designs of some of the locations they go to in the Demon Realm, I kind of got the vibe that Toriyama's Star Wars influence was definitely kicking in again, because the setting kind of looks like Tatooine slash Mos Eisley, you
Oh
know?
no, you
Yeah, I
watched
can
the
see that.
sequel trilogy.
And when they were in the bar, I mean, Arlon, you were there when I was watching it. I couldn't help but think of the that whole thing. But also someone else pointed out because I was like, maybe I'm reaching. It's possible. It's just a coincidence. But then someone pointed out that Glorio's design, the guy who like comes to Goku to help him with whatever's going on in the Demon Realm, his design actually does share some similarities with Han Solo's. Although incidentally, besides his outfit looking like Han Solo's, he also happens to be like the spitting image of a villain character from a game called Dragon Ball Xenoverse. And episodes 2 and 3 definitely show that Glorio is kind of sus, is a little bit sus. There's definitely some ulterior motives that he has, and some people are speculating that this might be Toriyama folding in yet another concept from another piece of Dragon Ball media, and this could possibly be the origin story of the villain from that game. But like it obviously wouldn't be tied directly to that game because that game has like a whole other story. Like Dragon Ball Xenoverse is about like there's this guy who's like fucking with the events of Dragon Ball and you have to time travel and with your OC character and make sure things go as they're supposed to and all this random shit. I don't know, maybe Toriyama just felt inspired by that guy and Han. He had Glorio, he had that guy and Han Solo do the fusion dance and this guy was born. But also I haven't seen episode 5 yet, but someone pointed out that
Coco,
the
you are watching too far ahead for a seasonal first impressions podcast.
I haven't seen episode 5 yet, but someone said that the girl character that gets introduced at the end of episode 4 is a princess who is leading a rebellion against the king of the demon realm, which sounds an awful lot like Princess Leia. So I think it's pretty safe to say that this series has quite a bit of Star Wars influence going on, which is
Yeah.
neat because
It's
I
it's
like Star Wars.
pulpy. It's pulpy, which I like, because new Star Wars is not.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Which is why Toriyama should have written the new sequel trilogy.
Oh my God, true. True. We need to like we need to like train ChatGPT on Toriyama's brainwaves if they're at all still active, and then be like, okay, Toriyama GPT, write episodes 10 through 12, and also just completely ignore that episode 7 through 9 happened.
And we know he can do it because he literally just did it with his own franchise.
Exactly. So I guess the main takeaway from that is if you're someone who's incredibly dissatisfied with the state of Star Wars, and watch Dragon Ball Daima. Yeah, I mean that makes perfect sense to me. Uh,
Yes.
but no, it's just great to have Dragon Ball returning to its adventure elements because that's something that Dragon Ball hasn't really had for a while. Like they kind of do try to capture it here and there, but it's never really worked. The last time it kind of worked was probably the Namekian saga, and then we had like GT trying to do it, and people hated the adventure part of that series. The only part of that series I see people talk about is the fucking Shadow Dragons arc. So that's how you know absolutely no one gives a flying fuck about the adventure half. And
I
you
only
know,
watched 2 episodes, but I gotta say, when they were like taking off in that spaceship, I did feel like a little bit of sense of wonder, a
you were
little
like,
bit of
"Oh my God,
excitement.
adventure piece!"
Yes,
Well, the only
I
problem is
I
that the
agree with you. One Piece should do that and stop doing what they're doing now.
they're in their Z phase. Well, they've kind
Yeah.
of returned to adventure piece, but we can talk about that when we get to fan letter. Because oh, actually, that reminds me of another point I had. So it actually seems like with this series, they're actually trying to have like a more story driven approach because it actually takes something like 3 episodes for characters to actually start throwing hands. And that's not a negative, by the way. I totally have no problem with there being more of a plot and a focus on adventure and stuff like that. But once you get to episode 3 and episode 4, we start getting some action, and I'm feeling more validated about my opinion about the fact that combat in Dragon Ball is way better when the characters are significantly limited in what they're capable of doing. Just yesterday, out of nowhere, I was just randomly like, fuck it. I'm gonna watch Goku versus Majin Vegeta from the Buu Saga. And the best part of that fight is hands down when the characters are on the ground and doing actual hand-to-hand combat. The choreography is so good, and that's what the
Yeah.
combat in Dragon Ball Daima reminded me of. And
It's
I
like
I
the Snyderverse problem,
I think
where they're kind of just flying around and there's no
Oh
sense of
yeah.
weight.
yeah, pretty
Mhm.
much, pretty much. And you know what? I'm just gonna say it. Take away these characters' ability to fly. The combat is way more interesting, and the choreography is way better when they're on the ground. The
Make
combat,
it like Bleach, where they just walk on the air for some reason.
or Naruto, where they like air jump because they put like chakra platforms under their feet or something. I mean, I'm pretty sure by the end the characters are just able to fly, but No, take away the character's ability to fly. It's actually funny because they still can fly in Dragon Ball Daima, but like in the combat, they keep the characters like more restrained in what they're doing. We don't really get a sense of how limited their powers have become as a result of them becoming kids, if their powers have become limited at all. Like in Dragon Ball GT, Goku, when he turns into a kid in that, is about as strong as he was when he was an adult with some slight limitations. For example, the time limit he has on Super Saiyan 3 is like way shorter. And with Super Saiyan 4, it's so powerful that like his kid body can't even handle it, so he has to turn into an adult. Um, but yeah, we haven't really gotten a sense for how limited the characters are as a result of being turned into kids. I do like the fact that there actually was something of a learning curve for them getting readjusted to their new
Mhm.
bodies.
Yeah, the
Because
body weight balance
yeah,
thing for when they're flying and stuff.
yeah, like the weight
Yeah.
of their bodies when they're flying, the reach. Goku
Oh,
has to
yeah.
like yeah, he has to get used to being
Yeah, the
able to fight
spatial
with his
awareness.
yeah, with like his short stubby little arms and legs.
Mhm.
Um Which I actually kind of like because I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it did feel kind of like a subtle reference to why Goku lost his fight against Jackie Chun in the Dragon Ball in the martial arts tournament in OG Dragon Ball. He lost it because both him and Jackie Chun, who is definitely not Master Roshi, uh, rushed at each other and they both kicked each other in the face. But Jackie Chun's kick was deeper and did more damage because Jackie Chun was taller and had more reach. And honestly, this is one of those moments where you realize that unlike everyone else who contributes to Dragon Ball, I actually feel like on some level, Toriyama does consider the more technical elements of the combat. Like we've moved pretty far from Dragon Ball feeling like actual martial arts, but here and there you still get Toriyama trying to like integrate things that martial artists would consider like spatial awareness and stuff like that and their reach. I mean that's stuff that's pretty important in like boxing or whatever. Like if you have better reach you land in more hits, etc. So I like that. I feel like we don't really get that much in Dragon Ball anymore. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Pretty good. I give it like a strong 7 from what I watched, but it could go up. What did you think about it, Eyeball?
Um, well, I think I'll actually keep watching it just because I am enjoying it quite a bit. So, the animation and everything is really good so far. We'll hope we'll keep it up for the entire the entire runtime. We'll see.
Mhm. I was gonna say I actually like the fact that other characters in this actually get some level of attention. It's kind of nice seeing
Mhm.
Supreme Kai get some attention.
Yeah.
Although it is pretty funny that when Goku was roasting him for his combat abilities, Supreme Kai was like, "Hey, I'm a capable fighter," and I'm just like, "Bro, we've all seen the Buu Saga. You came in as like the most hyped character ever to the point where even Piccolo was scared of you, and then as soon as the villains started getting actually doing shit, you got wrecked in every single you got wrecked in every single fight that you were in." So hopefully Supreme Kai will get to redeem himself in this, maybe by actually showing that maybe he actually is kind of a decent fighter. Who knows?
I mean, has he done any fighting yet in this series?
No, he hasn't.
Okay, I didn't think so. Because in
Well,
the little bar fight, that's just Goku and Glorio a little,
Yeah, he
and
hasn't
then
done any
he's just
fighting
sitting
yet.
there.
I think he's there
Uh,
to be like the exposition guy because he knows
don't
some
say
shit
that.
about the demon realm. And
Yeah.
I would have actually liked it if Piccolo had some level of involvement in this arc because Piccolo's an Namekian and it seems like by being connected to Kami or fused with Nail or whatever, he actually does have some knowledge and insight on like the demon realm history that the Namekians have. But from what
Mhm.
I've seen, the characters do start to get more involved as the story goes on. So it
Yeah,
seems like
once.
this series won't be like Dragon Ball GT, where the biggest criticism towards that is that the GT doesn't actually stand for Grand Tour. It actually stands for Goku Time, where the characters are the supporting cast is even less significant than they were in Z, which I mean, if you haven't seen GT, you might be thinking, how the fuck did you pull that off? But they did somehow. So, you know.
Rip Toriyama.
Indeed.
Mm.
Wait, one last thing! I am so triggered that this anime was not simulcasted, okay? Now, normally I wouldn't be that eager for the dub to come out, but they brought back the original voice actress, the quote unquote original, because she's actually not, the original voice actress of Kid Goku, Stephanie Nadolny, and I want to see that. I want to see that like now. Except now is actually not that far from now because the dub is coming out in like
Yeah,
two day,
because they're
two
doing the
days.
movie, right?
Yeah,
Or not the movie, they're airing it in theaters.
yeah, they're airing
Or
the first
first.
3 episodes in theaters in America. They're not doing that here because fuck the rest of the English speaking audience, I guess. Um, I don't know. That actually did slightly annoy me. It got me thinking about like how even the fucking the fucking English dub for part 3 of Thousand Year Blood War isn't out yet. And then I started to realize that the only anime that gets simulcasted are like anime that people don't give a shit about, but they don't simulcast like shows that people actually care about, like Bleach and Dragon Ball. And a part of me wants to think, well, maybe they do it that way because, they want the quality of these dubs to be like actually good because as we know, most dubs range from mid to like kind of terrible, but and simulcasting probably does play a role in that. Um, but no, I want the dub immediately, and I didn't
Yeah,
get it.
it is weird for Dragon Ball since that is like one of the most iconic American dubs.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I do like the fact that they're actually bringing back the OG voice actor. Goodbye, Colin Clinkenbeard. Stay in your Luffy corner. But that's it. 10 out of 10. No, I'm kidding. 9 out of 10.
Next is Uzumaki,
Oh boy.
which is a horror manga adaptation by
Junji
Junji
Ito, the
Ito,
GOAT.
the very iconic and prolific mangaka.
Mhm.
GOAT G Ito.
Well, you're kind of a horror person, right, Eyeball? So would you like to summarize what happens in the beginning of Uzumaki?
Sure. Okay. So first episode, we're put into this little town. It's kind of like a coastal town. Got main character girl and her boyfriend, who I think he's the only one I remember the name of, Shuichi. So
I mean, there isn't much of a plot.
no, I mean
Uzumaki is just like a bunch of weird
we're
shit
we're
The
happening.
thrown in
plot
there.
the plot is that the
Shuichi,
town is cursed.
yeah, by spirals it seems like. So it's a very
Viral
vague.
contamination.
Wait a
There's not
minute.
like a
You're telling me this isn't a Naruto spin-off tie-in show about the Uzumaki clan?
Oh shit, I
nah.
never made that connection.
This isn't what I signed up for. I'm leaving the podcast.
Wow.
You didn't make that connection?
Well, I only just realized, well, like, I watched this and I was like, wait, like, hearing them say Uzumaki, I was like, oh,
It's the
that's
word
what
for
it means.
spiral. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's getting because his dad is, you could say, he is spiraling into insanity.
Uh-huh.
One could say
Dumb
that. Yes. So he's getting kind of obsessed with them. He wants art of spirals. He's talking about how they're perfect. So he commissions the main girl's dad, I think. He's like, he
Yeah.
does pottery
Yeah.
for a pot that has a spiral on it. He's like, I mean, you're acting kind of weird, but I'll do it, I guess. But then when they go to give it to him, he has contorted his body into a spiral. And it's very good body horror, I'd say. It did actually get a grimace out of me. I was caught off guard.
Mm,
And then,
that was pretty creepy.
obviously that kills you if you do that to your body, so they have to burn
Yeah, they make
his
it dead.
body at the crematorium. But that doesn't work out too well because then the smoke turns into his face with his tongue spiraling, and then everyone's very for obvious reasons.
Hmm.
And then it just seems to spread more and more. It's kind of just a series about how the spiral stuff just keeps infecting various people in various ways. One guy, he turns kind of to like a slug snail creature from it. And then, of course, the
Man,
iconic visual of the girl with the spiral in her eye. We see that too.
that shit was
So,
so fucking funny when he turned into the slug. Like one of the classmates, it like legit just dies laughing.
Yeah,
seeing
I
one of his
know. He
classmates
doesn't even
turn into a
care.
slug.
He's just like, this shit's hilarious. Yeah, like his main bully doesn't even care. Like, how are
Yeah.
you seeing this and you're just like, I'm gonna post this on the gram later.
To be honest, though, that actually is one of my chief criticisms of Uzumaki is that, which is not to say that no one is like not to say that people aren't disturbed by what's going on here, but the level of horror that most of the characters in this react to what's happening around them is nowhere near as high as you would think. It
Yeah,
is like
they just
way, way more
they
casual.
just keep that guy on school property in a cage and they're like feeding him and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
and what, you're still going to school at this point?
like.
Like, I'd be
All
out of there.
all throughout the show, I was asking like, why is no one leaving this town? Why aren't
The
they just leaving?
boyfriend guy is the only one who's like taking this shit
Yeah,
seriously, and he keeps
Luigi.
like talking big, like, "Oh, I'm really gonna leave, guys.
Well, I mean,
I'm getting out of here."
I kind of get why he wouldn't leave after a certain point because I think his mother like ends up in
Mhm.
hospital,
Yeah, she's in
like
the
bedridden.
hospital.
So like
Yeah.
he can't really unless he like asks for her to be transferred or some shit.
I'm pretty
Although
sure the mom would be chill with leaving the spiral town.
yeah, because
Yeah.
she's gone like batshit insane.
Mhm.
I remember like in the first episode or whatever when it's like, oh, she like burned her fingertips off or whatever. So
Because they have
she
spirals on them.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I remember being like, oh, that's like an interesting dichotomy. It's like making the point that actually like, trying to avoid like obsession or whatever can also like be self-destructive. But then like as the series goes on, it's just like, no, that was actually like a pretty reasonable course of action.
Because the thing with her is that she's become super traumatized by spirals because when they cremated the body of her husband, like in the first episode, like the fucking ghost of the husband appears as a giant smoke spiral
Yeah.
in the sky. And I'm just saying, if I saw shit like that, I'd be out of there. Like I would, like I'd be,
Yeah.
I'd be gone immediately.
Mhm.
Now, in all fairness, in episode 3, they're pretty much just like, wait, do you guys care about spoilers?
Well, I don't care about spoilers, but this is a seasonal first impressions podcast.
Well, spoilers. Skip to the time code that Aarlon puts here to not hear the spoilers.
God
Um,
damn it.
uh,
More
Okay.
in,
editing.
in episode 3, I mean, I don't know. Okay, here's the thing. I don't know if this was always the case, but by episode 3 or 4, I think they basically established that you can't leave because the town starts spiraling in on itself. Um,
Oh,
so
well, I
like
mean,
if
that's cool, at least.
yeah, so if you like try to leave, you can't because like there's this one scene where they try to leave by going out through the forest and like they see people on the other side and they're like, "Hey, where are you going?" And like, "Oh, we were following you because we saw you try to leave through the forest." But they're like, "Wait, but we're going that way. The exit is that way." And the whole conclusion of that scene is that the area is like clearly like looping in on
Okay.
itself. Um,
Yeah, I mean, that is a cool concept. It reminds me
yeah.
of, what was it? I think it's, of course, I can't remember names and stuff right now, but it's called like Grass or Tall Grass or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a Stephen, what's his name? Pet
Spielberg?
Cemetery guy.
Stephen King?
Yeah, Stephen King. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking. Obviously not Stephen Hawking. But yeah, it's a Stephen King book adapted into a movie. I watched the movie, but
Yeah.
it's a big field of grass, and you can't get out of it. Basically, the ground rearranges itself, so you can never make progress to get out. So
Mm.
it is
But
a
I'm
cool concept.
I'm gonna go out and maybe this is a wrongful assumption on my part, but I'm gonna assume that this was not always the case and that they actually probably did at some point have a chance to leave, and it's their own fault that they got trapped in there.
Well,
Be-
yeah, because like in the second episode there was like the kids trying to leave or whatever.
hmm
I'm pretty sure they could have just gotten on the train and left if they actually did, but
Yeah,
they didn't.
because I don't know if the town had like fully spiraled in on itself
Hmm.
by that point.
So
So
yeah, the boyfriend is a dumbass. He should have left the first time he said he was gonna leave.
Yeah,
yeah,
because the
it's
thing with the
also
train too is that obviously, like I keep saying obviously, but the tax they on the town, so you kind of have to think about how the outside world is being affected. And would
mm,
assume that it's not, so the track would still be intact, and you could be able to get out that way.
hmm
the elephant in the room, if we would like to address it, is that
The
episode 1
animation.
looks great.
Hmm.
There's a really good
Yeah.
mix of 2D CGI, and the character designs looked good.
It looks like the manga. It's like
Yeah,
black and white.
It looks exactly like
yeah.
the manga, and I was saying to Aarlon when I was watching this that if we ever get a another Berserk adaptation, they should do it exactly like this because having a faithful one-to-one recreation of Miura's art in this style would look fucking amazing. It would probably look even better than the fucking uh original Berserk anime, and it would certainly blow the 2016 one out of the
Hmm.
water. So do this with Berserk. Do it.
But then we get to episode 2 in Uzumaki, and there's
Hmm.
a noticeable quality difference, you could say. I don't know what happened.
I like when they're running down the beach and they're like running sideways very
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
slowly.
like sliding across the
that
beach.
shit was really. I will
It
say
was it
this
was
though
bad.
about the animation. Episode 2 is easily the worst looking of all the episodes. After episode 2, I mean, maybe I just got like, maybe I just adjusted to it, maybe, and maybe I'm just coping. But after episode 2, the animation is still very inconsistent, but there are times where it feels like it gets closer to episode 1 quality, and times where it gets really bad, like at the start of episode 3. Like the first half of episode 3, not great. The second half was okay. Same with episode 4. Although the last like 5 minutes of episode 4, the quality of animation just like skyrocketed out of nowhere and went back to like being as good as episode 1, possibly even better, hard to say. And I was really caught off guard by that, but like it's like the last 5 minutes. It's like I mean, I guess they stuck the landing, I guess. There was a bit of turbulence, but in the end they stuck the landing.
I thought it was funny because I watched the first episode and everyone was saying like, "Oh man, the animation in this show is terrible." And I remember
Mhm.
being like, What are they talking about?"
Actually, the thing that kind of caught, like, I'm not entirely sure if my assumptions are right here, but like the first episode was definitely like entirely CG, but there are points in like episode 3 where I mean, I could be wrong, but I'm almost convinced that at some points they were just like, fuck it, we're doing 2D animation for this. I I don't care, you know? And maybe they did that because it was cheaper, and maybe they thought, well, the animation is convincingly 2D enough, so maybe people won't notice when we cut corners by doing this. But I certainly noticed it. There
Mm,
were some points in the animation where like it doesn't even feel like a fully animated project, and it feels more like a motion comic, which is
yeah.
pretty bad.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate that I feel like Junji Ito, he just can't get a good adaptation.
The Junji Ito
And it's
curse
it's
continues.
it's so sad. I feel because the first episode was so good.
The reason why the animation ended up being as bad as it was is because a lot of people might forget this. I was certainly surprised when I read it. Um, but Uzumaki was announced back in 2019, and it is speculated by many people who are in the animation industry that the reason why the animation might have ended up bad is because someone at the top, likely in Adult Swim, because this is an Adult Swim
Mhm.
and production IG USA production, which when I saw that I was immediately traumatized because 4 episode horror anime production IG USA and Adult Swim. Sidanchi, let's go. We're doing Sidanchi
Why are
again.
you shitting on the goat?
It was just another just what was it? Another optical illusion. It
Yeah.
was just another optical illusion.
Look, an
This show
optical illusion.
this show was an optical illusion
Whoa.
because sometimes the animation was good in the show, sometimes the animation was bad and it was really inconsistent. But yeah, animation changed, the studio changed midway through development, so did the director, and it's speculated that the reason why that happened is because development on this was taking too long, and someone over at Adult Swim got really pissed off at that, and they were like, "Yeah, fuck you, we're moving the show to a different studio." It should be worth pointing out, this show was announced in 2019,
Mhm.
and this interesting thing, I don't know, it was very obscure. You guys might have heard of it. I don't know, this kind of like inconvenient like flu thing. I don't know. Apparently it came from China or something. I don't fucking know. You know, this thing was going on and it was kind of an obscure thing. So who's to say if that's the reason why that was the development? I mean, it's hard to imagine that there's a random ass like cold with like that's not impacting the whole world at all could potentially slow down development. I'm sure it had absolutely nothing to do with that, and I'm sure that the bigwig at Adult Swim's expectations about the project being delivered quicker were totally reasonable because there definitely was not a pandemic going on that could have
No,
potentially slowed down the development of the show.
nah.
Again, this is pure speculation, but honestly, if this is real, fuck that guy. There was a fucking pandemic going on. Of course, it's taking forever to get made, asshole.
I mean, I know a lot of creative projects suffered because of the pandemic.
hmm
The Dragon Prince, the season they made during that, terrible.
Yeah. I think at this point Ito should just be like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I can't fucking trust you to do this. So I'm gonna go the Murata route of just learning how to animate myself and making my own animation studio. And I think the reason why Murata did that is because he saw season two of One Punch Man, and it was like, nah, not on my watch, bro. So yeah, Ito should take a page out of Murata's book in that regard. LOL. But I watched the dub of this, and I think it was a very weird experience because the dub of this was definitely done by Studiopolis, the current voice acting studio that has the rights to dub Sonic the Hedgehog. And when I heard Kirk Thornton come in like piss off, old man, with his fucking Shadow the Hedgehog voice, and I was like, whoa, that's fucking Shadow the Hedgehog. And then I hear depressed Roger Craig Smith, and I'm like, oh, that's depressed Sonic. And it was a very weird experience to say the least. Did you know that voice actors work in other things besides the things that you know them from? That's crazy.
No.
Yeah, 7 out of 10.
I did not hate this as much, in spite of the animation quality. Like I
Yeah,
said, it was inconsistent. After a certain point, it became kind of tolerable. Episode two was the worst. Every episode after that was okay.
I'll be honest.
Then,
Even episode 2 was like not as bad as people made it out to be.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it was really just the beach. And episode 2 was. It was episode
mm,
2 when they went to the lighthouse, too? Or was that
yeah,
episode 3?
Yeah, it was episode 2, I
Yeah, there was
think,
like
because I
one
haven't seen
shot
three.
in the lighthouse where it just didn't. It just. She was just like head bobbing for like
yeah.
30 seconds. That was funny, but.
But I guess what I'm trying to get at is I was still able to get invested in the plot, even though I thought the ending was very weird. But I was still able to get
Yeah.
invested in the plot. The animation wasn't so. I mean, at times it was, but for the most part, I didn't find it like distractingly bad, you know?
Mhm.
I think Junji Ito has that reputation of like not being so good at ending things, but
hmm
no matter what happens in the ending, which I've not seen, it still is definitely just a very memorable concept. Like it's
Yeah.
most of it isn't even connected, right? It's just like a bunch of like super short little story things,
hmm
and they're all very weird and memorable in their own way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
But
bad endings or unsatisfying endings are such a normal thing in horror stuff, unfortunately. So
it's
kind of
not
used to
the
it.
it's
Yeah.
not the ending, it's the journey that matters.
So
And the
true.
and the journey was definitely something. 6 out
Yeah.
of 10.
It's just like a spiral.
Whoa.
Next is I'll become a villainess who goes down in history. This was I think this was an otome, right? I watched this a while ago now.
Yeah, yeah. It was an or
They
yeah.
otome they all kind of blend together in my head a little bit. I guess that what sets the gimmick of this one that sets it apart a little bit is that the main character, and otome is like where they're like playing their like visual novel or whatever, and then one day they wake up as a character in it. The main character is the villainess, which is par for the course, but she's like really into being the villainess, and she's like, yes, I am evil. I'm gonna be I'm gonna totally trounce the protagonist because I'm evil.
Yeah, I just remember there's kind of some weird things going on. I watched 2 episodes of this, but she's like, how old is she? Well, in the first episode she's 8, second episode she's 10. But her
Oh
favorite
yeah,
her favorite
there's
guy
the
character,
dude. He's like 15 or something, and
yeah,
he's
and he like has a
interested in
crush
her.
on her when she's 10. And I just wrote 15-year-olds talking about dating a 10-year-old question mark question mark. Because, and
Yeah,
then
that was
15-year-old
weird.
I wrote 15-year-old kisses 10-year-old very epic because that happens too. So that was a little weird.
Yeah,
That just sounds like standard anime shenanigans, lol.
yeah. I mean, I thought this was like above average for an otome. Like, I like the main character.
Now, for the uninformed in the audience, not me, because I know what an otome is, but for the people in the audience, can you explain to us what an otome is?
Coco, I just explained it like five
Yeah, he
minutes
already
ago.
did. You gotta put your listening cap
Okay,
on.
damn, I missed that part.
It's where a person is like playing a video game and then they wake up as a character in it.
Ah,
It's like usually like a girl anime. So usually it'll be like a girl wakes up as like the villainess, and then, the villainess is like getting fucked over because she's evil. And then suddenly she's like, actually, like, I don't even care anymore because I'm quirky now. And then all the like guys that were going for the protagonist are like, whoa, like she's changed. There's something about her. I'm like kind of in love with her now.
Yeah, even though she's a little girl. Yeah.
In this one, yes.
Not usually that, I would assume.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think usually, I mean, I describe otome as basically like the girl equivalent of isekai. So in a lot of otome, when they get reincarnated as a little girl, they get with someone their own age, and then it's weird in the normal isekai way.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was the kind of fun. I mean, that she starts off so young, but she has all the information she has to basically grind to become the person she wants to be. And that's kind of like a fantasy for a lot of people, I think, to be able to go back in time when you're young with all the information you have now and to just be able to grind and not be like, oh,
Yeah.
I wasted so much time when I was 7. I should have pulled out a loan on a house. What was I doing? So it's like that type of thing.
It is very, very appealing and satisfying. I think like a lot of otome do similar stuff.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I get why it's a popular genre. I've partaken quite a bit myself. This one, give it like a strong 6. It was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah, it's aight.
it's I.
It's aight. The only thing that kind of irritated me was that she's trying so hard to be a villainess, but everything she does is like objectively good. She's
That
just
well,
becoming
that's
a
like the classic
If you want to
problem,
okay.
watch an
though.
anime, if you want to watch an anime where a girl is trying to be a villainess and she succeeds in being a villainess,
I'd say like
I can't
Tanya.
I can't think of anything more classic than Aarlon. I'm drawing a blank. What's the anime we talked about with
What?
the fucking masochist?
Oh,
Masochist.
got gushing over magical girls?
Yes. Now
Oh.
now that's an anime where a
That's
girl
that's like the opposite. She doesn't want to be a villain, but
true.
she's
Mhm.
She gets groomed
so
into
fucked
being
up.
one.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind for a little girl that's actually becoming evil would be the saga of Tanya the Evil. I mean, I know
But
she's
isn't
actually a
she
grown
like
man, but whatever.
yeah, isn't she already evil though?
I actually need to watch that show, to be honest.
I remember it being pretty fun, the episodes that I watched of it.
Yeah,
The magic system's pretty cool, I think. Combining it with like guns
that
is
one's
fun.
been sitting in my plan to watch for a while.
And by the way, it does only get worse. She is just like straightforwardly an extremely good person.
Man, that's like some we want to have the Straw Hats act like actual pirates, so they're gonna steal this treasure, except the Skypians, we're gonna give them the treasure anyway for saving them type shit.
I want the Straw Hat Pirates to commit a massacre, like real pirates. That would be great, I think. No, do not do that.
I do hate that they were like, oh, the Whitebeard pirates, they like didn't collect like protection fees or whatever. They did it all for free.
Bruh. But anyways,
Like what?
let's not get too stuck on One Piece.
Get sucked
One
into
Piece,
One Piece talk.
One Piece is
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah.
And then next, I'll talk about Do-Over Damsel Conquers the Dragon Emperor because only I watched
Two
that.
shows I haven't seen back to back. Do you know what this does to my ADHD?
Well, then watch more shows, and it won't be an issue.
Bruh, Bobby.
I mean, it directly ties into this conversation though, because that one is a returner, so it's like the main character like dies and then she wakes up as like her past self,
Hmm.
and in that one, the like gimmick of it is that she's trying to get out of marrying this dude that was boning his sister, so he like framed her so he could be with his sister, and to get out of that engagement, she just like picks a random person and she's like, I'm in love with the person behind me. And the person behind her is an adult man. And he's like, I am a pedophile and I am extremely hyped about this.
Bruh.
Great.
And I linked a clip of it in like the anime chat where she's like, but like, don't you feel weird about like dating? Like, I'm so young, and he's like, ideal. In fact, it'd be better if you were even younger.
Bruh, Bobby.
God, bro.
And
Ideal.
that does make me wonder, like, and it is a little bit strange to me that like this and the last one are like girl escapist fantasies. So is that like a thing that some girls are like, I wish like an adult man would molest me?
Well, I mean, we do know that like well, I mean, this isn't just exclusive to girls, but I guess guys are kind of like this too. Like the celebs they crush on or people that are older than them or whatever, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Like everyone kind of crushes on people that are older than them. I don't know if people
Yeah.
specifically fantasize about the idea of a pedophile trying to fuck you, but
Yeah,
but
probably not.
you know, I'm sure that's
Yeah.
someone's fantasy.
But I can't judge too much because as I was watching that, I was like, wow, like it's weird that like the love interest is like this dude that like literally commits a genocide in the future. Like that's who does this appeal to? But then I was like, wait, but like I even said like on the waifus episode, this is just like the main equivalent of what I'm into. So like I'm literally just a giant hypocrite if I say anything.
Hypocritical Andy.
That one I really like the art style. It's got like these really thick lines. It looks really good. Actually, everything. Oh, I guess not Uzumaki, but everything so far has looked really good. The last one looked good too. I give it like a 6. And then the next one also looks really good. Mecha-Ude, Mechanical Arms. Do you want to summarize this one, Coco?
Sure. The only problem is not that much really happened in the first episode. The show's about this kid called is it Hikaru or Hakaru? I forget. Hikaru.
Hikaru.
Yeah, he stumbles across like this cube thing that when he gets near it, it opens up and turns into a mechanical arm. When he finds it, it ends up getting him into some trouble because there's like this corporation or something that's like looking for that specific Mecha-Ude because there's these weapons they use called Mecha-Udes or Mecha-Udes. I don't fucking know. The one that he came across is called the Trigger Arm.
Interesting name.
Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious where the inspirations for the people who made this anime come from. There's definitely some shots in this anime that look very Gainaxy, triggery, type shots.
Yeah,
Uh,
this show is just Kill la Kill.
I would say that the animation, I mean, I'll have to watch like a higher quality version because the thing that I watched kind of made the show look like shit. So I'm wondering if the show was
No,
actually
no, it looked good.
or if it was the fucking thing that I watched.
It looked great. The animation was great. It's got that same manic trigger energy.
I mean, the girl is just. I mean, yeah, it's pretty obvious because like the red hair girl is just wearing the outfit that the main character from Kill la Kill wears. So, and then the arm is called the trigger arm. Like, yeah, it's pretty. They wear their influence on their sleeve. I actually thought that
On
maybe
their arm.
yes, it's great banter. Um, I actually thought maybe there might have been some involvement from that staff like from Trigger or like ex Gynax people working on this, but that's not the case, as near
Oh
as I
yeah,
can
you were
tell.
also saying the music sounded like Attack on Titan, but also like the guy who did the Attack on Titan music did the Kill la Kill music, and they sound exactly the same. So,
Yeah, and no, it actually was Sawano. It was him.
oh,
I looked into it. It was Hiroyuki
So
Sawano.
yeah, even more so. They were also like, yeah, just give us the same soundtrack too.
And I gotta say, I don't think anyone in the anime industry is watching this, but if you are, uh, Hiroyuki Sawano is a great composer. Uh, please stop spamming him. I feel like he appears in so many anime nowadays, and it ends up making his soundtracks feel weirdly more generic and less standoutish as time goes on. Stop spamming Hiroyuki Sawano. But which isn't to say that the soundtrack was bad. It was good, but stop spamming him. He's like in everything now. Um,
Then he should make his music have more variety.
I mean that's true. That is also true. Uh, actually, you know what? He kind of does though, because if you like listen to like some of the music he's composed for like Guilty Crown or whatever, or like even just like the independent music he makes for himself that isn't for anime, he definitely has range. I guess it's just that whenever he's brought on to do anime, people just like, could you do like an Attack on Titan soundtrack? We want literally exactly that. And it's
Yeah,
like, okay,
it's typecasting.
yeah.
It's like how Adam Sandler is apparently just a really good dramatic actor, but he just doesn't.
I guess comedy just wasn't his calling, but I've yet to see about that. Aarlon is intent on proving to me that it might have been. Um, uh, so I guess the plot of this is that the trigger arm actually belongs to this Riku looking ass motherfucker, uh, who is, I guess, slowly dying or something now that he is independent of it. Because I think the way that Mecha-Udes work is that there's like some kind of symbiotic relationship between like the user and the Mecha-Ude itself, where if they
Yeah,
spend too much time
they're
apart,
the clothes from Attack on Titan. Or
if they
not, god damn it, from Kill la Kill.
I
if
was
they
like, what?
if they spend too much time apart, they fucking die or whatever. So yeah, that's what kicks off the plot because the main character does not want to leave the arm stranded because it's
And
like
the
a
arm has amnesia, just like Kill la Kill.
indeed. Well, I mean, it's a Kill a Kill. I mean, we all know where Kill a Kill is getting its inspiration from. Okay, it's getting its inspiration from Shadow the Hedgehog and SA2. So, let's.
I do like that the arm is like both like I'm a really nice chill guy, like go on without me. And then like every other time he says something like that, he's like, but also like don't leave me.
I actually do find that arm kind of adorable. It's so polite. It's so polite.
He's quite the gentleman, quite the
Indeed.
lad.
Yes. But you know, it's great because if you're a fan of ARMS from Nintendo, they've finally decided to make an anime adaptation of it. So there you go. ARMS the anime. It's here.
I was actually thinking of Skullgirl.
Actually, one thing I was thinking of when I saw like how they animate the trigger arm specifically, it kind of reminded me of Generator Rex a little bit. I don't know
Oh
why.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is give Generator Rex to the studio. Incidentally, I guess this project is kind of like a passion project that the director has been trying to get off the ground for a while. Because this isn't the first version of this story being told. There is an OVA version that was made a couple
Oh,
years back, simply called Mecha-Ude,
interesting.
made by the same studio with the same director. There's also like a music video tie-in about the sick kid who was distanced from the trigger arm as well. So this kind of seems like a ongoing project that they've been. It seems like the studio might have been made for the specific purpose of getting this project off the ground. So now it's getting a full-fledged anime adaptation.
Well, I do look forward to seeing how that goes because even though I it was very derivative, it was definitely like make just because something's derivative doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Or bad.
And or no, yeah, well, yes, also, but no, I mean like just because something's derivative of a good thing doesn't
Hmm.
mean it will also be good.
Yeah.
So from the first episode, it seems like it's going to be pretty good. So I'm very excited to see where they take it.
The character designs in this very stood out a lot to me.
Yeah.
Um, And that is because the director of this actually did get their start in character design. Um, the character designs, especially of the villains that were like in that building, uh, maybe it's just me, but they very much scream like post Generation 5 Pokemon to me. I don't know if you got that vibe. Like
Yeah,
they kind
I can see that.
yeah, they kind of remind me of like the designs you see for like the gym leaders or like the Team Rocket members or whatever. So that was kind of neat. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching more.
Yeah.
I give it like a strong 7 to a light 8 from the first episode.
Hmm.
That could go up.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of this, but based off of what you two are saying, it does sound like something worth checking out. I mean, I love Kill la Kill,
Yeah,
and I was looking up some
I think you
pictures of
should
this.
watch it. I think
Yeah, it
you'd
looks
like
cool.
it.
It looks cool.
I still need to watch Kill la Kill. I've
Oh my
seen
god.
the only thing that I have seen that has like vibes like this is Fully Cooley, because Fully Cooley is Gynax.
Yeah, so
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to watch Kill la Kill though.
Well, it's as close to an anime adaptation of SA2 as we're going to get. So. Oh wait, movie 3 is coming out, but that's not anime. Oh wait,
Yeah,
no, there
no,
was the
that doesn't.
Sonic X adaptation of
Sonic
SA2,
X. Oh god.
Right.
but that was dog shit. So
Yeah. Unlike the movie, which is going to be a banger, I
yes.
assume. Next is Magilumiere Magical Girls Inc. Do you want to
Yes.
summarize this one, Eyeball?
Sure. So this is modern day magical girl anime, basically. We start off with our main character girl. She's fresh out of college. She's looking for a job. She's applying to these different corporate jobs in the city. She keeps getting rejected, even though she seems overly qualified.
Yeah, she's getting rejected because she's too much of a tryhard.
She remembers stuff too good, because remembering things is her defining character trait,
Yep.
is that she remembers stuff good. So she's at her next interview. Well, she's waiting for an interview, but turns out Mr. Office Man has been doing some negligence, because they have the way monsters work in this universe is that they're called Kai, and if there's an abundance of like these Kai particles in any given area, it can create a Kai, so a powerful, well, varying levels of strength, a monster that needs to be defeated by magical girls. So he hasn't been keeping the ventilation in check, classic capitalist.
They didn't check the room or whatever, so they didn't notice that it was there. So it was just sitting there festering for all this time.
Yeah. So then it awakens, and they're freaking out. They need to call a magical girl agency, because that's how it is in this world. So they just call the closest one, which is this like really cheap. It's just one magical girl right now. So she shows up. Yeah. She's trying to fight the Kai, but she doesn't know how to use the new broom technology.
Yeah, she shows up and she's like, "Wait, like how long did you leave this here? This isn't something that like I can take on alone."
Yeah, because they left it there for way too long.
Yeah.
So she's struggling to figure out how to fight it, and then the other girl, main character girl, notices like, oh, she's her thing is like low on power or something. She doesn't know how to use this new tech, but I do because I read about it, and anything I read, I remember.
It's so stupid. It's that what it is she's like, okay, I can use like this big crazy gun, but like I need someone to man like the reloading.
The iPad thingy, yeah.
Yeah.
The iPad. She's like, I can do it.
She's like looking for volunteers, and the girl volunteers because she likes helping people.
Yeah.
And so she's like firing the bullets at the monster, but then the girl is like, "Wait, no, you've got it on speed type bullets. It's not gonna work." And she's like, "Oh shit! Like I totally forgot. Yeah, like oh no, we're screwed." And the girl's like, "No, I just need to change it to the like heavy bullets or whatever." And she's like, "No, it's not possible. That is too complicated for you to navigate the UI."
It's a little silly.
And she's like, "No, I remember I applied for the company that made this app. So I actually know this app inside and out. And I can switch to heavy type bullets." And she saves the day. And then like after they beat the monster, it was like so intense that she like passes out from pressing the button in the iPad app.
Yeah. The action was a bit lackluster. trying to be super
Amazing.
epic and intense. She's just yeah, because she's like, oh, you have to hold it off for a little bit while this charges up or something. And the whole time they're talking, they talk for like 5 minutes, and the Kai just doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
just
sits
sitting
there and
there.
waits. Very considerate.
This has to be a mobile game adaptation.
Yeah, it does reek of mobile game.
It's
I
just
think I
like
feel like I read that actually. It might be.
I'm trying to remember. We watched another like mobile game adaptation. It was the same thing where it's like just suddenly in the middle of the plot, they're like, and now like the main character, they need to man the iPad app. They're the only one that can do it. It's pretty stupid,
Yeah.
but it's also interesting because like I guess they got like all the budget on these mobile game adaptations. Like it was the same with shit, what was it? I think in Engage Kiss. That was like an anime that was like terrible plot, but it looked really good. This one it has like a weird effect in it. Did you notice that they kept doing this thing where like they'd pan the camera a little bit around the characters, but it was like in like short bursts.
At like a shaky cam sort of thing.
No, it was like a cool title sequence or something where like
Oh.
you'd have like a shot of a character and then it'd go and then like fly to the other side of their
Okay.
face or something.
Yeah.
And
I vaguely remember that.
They kept spamming that. It looked kind of cool, but it was also like, okay, we get
Like,
it.
yeah, chill out. I mean, I think the tech is like magic in a modern setting is something I think is fun. So I kind of like the brooms, how they're just like
Yeah.
machinery. It's kind of fun and cool, but with the magical girl transformation, they kind of like try to like hype it up, but it's just kind of boring.
Oh, they
'cause their
did
outfits
a
look the
lot of
same.
that during the transformation, by the way. They did so many camera pans.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, she's just in uniform, but she has bows and stuff now. Wow.
Yeah, her outfit wasn't that good. I wonder if main character girl will. I guess probably not. She will probably not become a magical girl because she has to man the iPad. She's the audience self-insert. No, what it was kind of evocative of to me was, you know, as someone who is making a Reading 100 system manhwa video, it kind of reminded me of that, where like you've got these fantastical elements, but they've kind of just been integrated into like our capitalist society.
Mhm.
So it's just like a normal, mundane part of life for them.
Yeah, which is interesting, but I kind of doubt there will be any nuanced commentary on that in this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, like most mobile game adaptations, pretty boring. But it was funny. It was like funny bad.
yeah,
And it did look good. So I give it like a 6 out of 10.
yeah. I'd say strong 5 just to be a little different.
Nice. Next is A Terrified Teacher at Ghoul School, which only I watched. I watched this because it looked very evocative of like Scooby. What it like strongly reminded me of was are either of y'all Scooby fans?
I mean, I watched Mystery Incorporated when I was a kid.
I've seen movie one and also some episodes on DVD because they came with my cereal when I was a kid.
The generational divide. You kids don't know what good Scooby is.
What do you mean? I've seen the peakest of Scooby-Doo, okay? It's called the Velma TV show. No, I'm kidding.
I hate that Velma made people think that Mystery Incorporated is peak Scooby-Doo.
Ah, the sequel trilogy effect.
Yeah. Well, I think people were generally positive on it before, but it definitely cemented like now people are like, "Oh yeah, the canonical version of Fred, him being really stupid."
I mean, if something worse comes along, I don't think that it's necessarily wrong if people come to appreciate just how good they had it back then.
I don't like it because I don't like that. Like, I'm all for like being realistic. Like it happened with the WoW expansions when the worst of those came out. But I also don't want people to like look at things with rose-tinted glasses. Like the discourse gets ruined because, well, whatever. We're getting sidetracked. But
Yeah, we're gonna save that for when the actual Scooby-Doo anime comes out. Remember,
yes.
that's a thing that's actually on the horizon.
Yes, and I'm, I guess, less hyped for it now that I've seen this. So anyway, that
Well,
what this
are you
really,
worried that they're gonna turn the actual Shaggy into a pedophile?
yes. So that
What?
what it reminds me of is there's this one Scooby movie, or I think like series of movies, I forget, where
Scooby-Doo and the Alien Invaders.
it's just like an AU where like monsters are just like real, I guess. And Shaggy and I think Scooby is there too, are teaching at a ghoul school. It's like a school with like the children of all the iconic monsters. There's like a werewolf kid and like a little Frankenstein girl, I think. There's a mummy.
Is that where that red-haired girl that looks like vampire Mary Jane comes from?
Maybe I think maybe you're thinking of the band. I forget the name of
Uh,
them.
yeah.
Oh, the cat band. They dressed up like cats, right? In Scooby Doo.
Uh, no, not
No.
that.
Okay.
That I mean that's also like Hanna-Barbera, I think. But no,
Okay.
Oh, the Hex Girls is what I'm
the
thinking
Hex
of.
Girls,
The Hex
yes.
Girls is the other one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's like a what's new Scooby-Doo thing, I think.
Uh,
Uh, yeah. Man, I love Scooby.
Also, she really does look like Mary Jane.
Yeah. It's a shame that Scooby Media is in the state it's in right now. But
Damn.
anyway, I saw the premise for the show. I was like, oh shit, it's like that. And I mean, it's very similar. Basically, this guy quit his job as a teacher because he's like such a bitch that he was getting
What?
bullied by his students. He was like so scared of his students that he just stopped going to school.
Bruh.
And so he like through like a family connection lands a job at this other school. And then he shows up on the first day and like things are looking a little sus. The principal is like wearing a mask. And then he comes in and he's like, "Oh, this is a school for yokai." And obviously he's like very resistant to this at first. But then the principal bribes him by giving him a book on school uniforms. And this should
What?
have been the first red flag for me.
He likes uniforms?
Yeah,
Is
he's a
that?
uniform geek.
Oh my
I,
god.
I
Well,
guess that's a
are
thing.
we talking like standard uniform or like Japan's weird fascination with like the sailor uniform?
Pretty sure it's the latter.
Because Japan does have a weird fascination with the sailor uniform, and I don't get it.
And can I just say, first criticism, and this is like actually a common criticism I have with Japanese media, is the monsters are not monstrous enough. Most of them just look like,
That is actually very disrespectful because that is actually just an anime problem. Have
yeah,
you
no, that's what I'm
seen,
saying.
oh, I thought you said Japanese media. Because I'm just saying,
Oh,
if you look at Super Sentai or like the
yeah, that's
fucking
true.
Godzilla shit, they actually look like monsters in that. So
Yeah. Okay, you're right. I rescind that. I have this problem with a lot of anime
yeah,
and manga. But yeah, it's like the cat girl effect, right? It's like none of them look like the monster. They look like a sexy cosplay of the monster.
they look like how they look in the Cats movie.
Yeah.
No.
And basically, like the plot of the first episode is just that there's this girl that's not showing up to class. So the teacher, the guy wants to get her to come because she's a yokai that brings good luck. The way he convinces her is that he's like, "Oh, you'd look like so good in a school uniform."
Uh, see, that's the thing, right? See, that's the thing that was tripping me because when you told me about this show before, when you said he wants to get her to come, I was like, oh, I bet he does because of the shit you've told me about this character before.
And this does convince her. But then she comes and I forget exactly what it is. She's like wearing pants under her skirt or something.
How dare she do that?
And he like gets upset. He's like, "No!
I
See
wanted
her
to see
bare
your
ass
girl
under the
go.
skirt."
What the?
He didn't actually say that, but you know, that was the sentiment.
Okay,
And
why is this guy not being reported to faculty?
and the characters are like calling him out. They're saying like, "Oh, our teach our sem
Wait,
Senpai's a pervert.
hold on a second, Arlen. You just made me realize something. So there
What?
was that other anime that you were talking about where the girl was like, and you're not like the littlest bit weirded out by the fact that I'm like a little girl. Are you telling me that anime is actually like starting to become more self-conscious of how weird its pedo tendencies are?
Oh man, you just reminded
Those
me.
filthy
There,
Americans are fucking normalizing our anime. No, we gotta fight back and we gotta make anime pedophilia again.
in that show, there's also a character that's like a teenager, like 14 or something,
Hmm.
and she's like in love with that guy, and she's like really upset because the guy told her he won't get with anyone over like 12 years old or something.
Bruh,
Oh,
what the fuck?
this is not the fun Scooby-Doo experience you were expecting.
Well, no, that was the other show. But no,
Uh,
this one, I forget how it goes exactly. But then the twist is that like the family connection that the guy had was actually like apparently he comes from a family of exorcists,
Mhm.
so he has like exorcism powers, and that's why he's qualified to be the teacher of the ghoul school.
I see.
There was something kind of traumatic for me about like it. You know, I'm used to anime making their characters pedophiles, but something about being like in my head associating him with Shaggy and being like, oh, it's an anime with like Shaggy, and then him being a pedophile, it broke me. It was like, no, Japan, you can't take Shaggy from me. Why would you
Well,
do that?
they could have done worse with Shaggy. They could have made him black. No, I'm kidding. It's a Velma reference.
My problem with Velma is not that they made him black; it's that they made him
No,
like
that was a joke.
normal. I know. I'm sorry. Yeah, that came out wrong. That makes it sound like it's
you had a
valid to
problem.
have a problem with that. But no, my
Oh,
problem with Velma
don't get me
is
wrong, that
not.
is cringe, but you know.
I mean, Velma was a good race swap, but no, my problem with it was just that they made him normal. Like he's not
But it's an
Shaggy.
origin story, and by the end, he's so stressed out by everything that happened. And then his dad, who looks more like Shaggy than he does because he's adopted and his dad is white and actually is just Shaggy's original design, is like, why don't you try marijuana?
But then they did season 2 and he didn't turn into Shaggy and now the show is over.
Bruh. Wait, so what was the point of that? Whatever.
Exactly.
or wait, did it get a movie greenlit or something? I
I
forget.
don't think
I
so because
sincerely doubt that. I
the
hope not.
series, the second season, it's not getting renewed because the second season did terribly.
I
So,
Yeah,
thought
'cause
I heard maybe that like they're doing a movie instead, but
I don't think people hate watched it this time,
mm,
like they did the first season, which led to it getting another one.
the
yeah.
second, well, no, I actually heard that wasn't real. What I heard was actually the second season was actually just like the first season, like they were made back to back, but
Mm.
they
Okay.
split them into two so
Yeah,
they
so it was
wouldn't have
already
to
in
pay the
Like
production.
studio for two.
they
Okay.
commissioned that many episodes.
Yeah,
Mm,
but I'm sad people didn't hate watch the second season because the second season is even stupider.
Does that
damn.
one have? Which one has Scrappy in it? Is
It's
that
the
the second
second one.
season?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
the
yeah, I
second
have seen
one.
that. That is pretty funny.
And he's actually the unsung hero of the series because he actually kills all of them.
Yeah, he kills everyone. I did see that.
The redemption arc.
Indeed. But back to
uh,
anime
yeah.
Scooby-Doo.
Anyway, 4 out of 10. I
Damn.
wish they didn't do that.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Arlon, because I was reading the synopsis for the Scooby-Doo anime that they're making, and it actually starts out with devout lolicon Shaggy and Scooby go to Japan. So,
That's like
No.
his thing. Instead of weed in the Japanese version, it's like he likes little girls.
yeah.
I guess Shaggy doesn't actually like weed. He's just like that canonically. So yeah, I guess instead of like sandwiches, he'll be like, you know,
Panties or
tube.
something.
Yeah, would you do it for a pair of panties, Scoob? Let us not manifest this.
No, I actually read that just now on the
Wow.
website.
They're in the writers. They're listening. They're writing all this stuff down.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
It's a good idea. Yeah.
Next up is One Piece fan letter, which I guess you can't really get a first impressions of because it is only one episode.
Yeah,
So going in, I'd say watch it first because it is good.
the animation in this is fantabulous.
Yes.
The animation in One Piece has out of nowhere seen like a sudden increase in quality during Wano, and it seems like One Piece has been pretty consistent in maintaining that. I mean, obviously it has its low points because maintaining that all the time is probably impossible, but it looks
They
really good.
they
And
popped off so hard. There were like so many Sakuga moments in this.
yeah, well, I think this was I didn't look this up, but I think this might have been directed by Megumi Ishitani, who is one of the many lead animators who's like responsible for like the sudden increase in quality during Wano and stuff. So
Good.
yeah,
And
and
now they're
it's great.
remaking it
The animation
to
in
be
this
short.
the animation in this is I think Arlon, I think it was you who said that the vibe that Oda has been going for with his art style lately is like more fairy tale children's book-ish.
Yeah.
Uh and
Yeah, and they
I th
did lean into that.
I think this special definitely captured that pretty accurately. Especially with how the backgrounds are drawn.
Yeah.
They have a very traditional watercolors vibe to them when they get to Sabaody. It was neat.
Yeah, this was really good. It
Mm.
was, I mean, the idea in general is so good because, oh man, it's like they acknowledged it. They said what we've all like been aware of and observing, the elephant in the room for all this time, how all this big shit and One Piece is happening, and they never take into account how it affects just like the normal ass people.
Yeah, in the anime and the manga, they only ever do it by like if like Big News Morgans or whatever his name is like putting out a paper or like bounties drop. Sometimes they like cut away from the main plot to like show how the world might be reacting, but it's never
Yeah.
been like as focused on specific characters who are just like random normal people like it was in this.
But people like we've definitely made that specific joke about how like at uh shit, what's it called? The war one.
Marineford?
At Marineford, like oh yeah, like Luffy's just like killed like 100 Marines there.
Yeah.
Like people joke about it, but it was they did such a good job of being like, no, like, but actually being a normal Marine at Marineford was scary.
Yeah, it was hell. Like, there's these two brothers who both almost died while they were there, but they actually like survived because Luffy was there.
Oh, it was so good that it was so down to earth, and they did such a good job of like, even though it's only a 20-minute episode, and they're cycling between like a bunch of different characters, they did
Hmm.
such a good job getting you invested in like,
I will say with the two brothers that were in the flashback at Marineford, when I saw that, I was like, I really wish that it was Marineford that was currently getting remade right now because that shit, even though we didn't like see it proper, we saw it from like a distance, from like the perspective of the Marines that were there. That shit looked so fucking good, and it just makes me look forward to when Wit Piece gets to Marineford, assuming that it will look this good. I hope it will, because you never
no
know.
shot. But on the other hand, like it is One Piece.
Hmm.
So, but that then again, I feel like the better and more prestigious a manga or anime is, it's the Uzumaki effect. The better and more prestigious it is, the more likely it is to have just an absolute dog shit adaptation, like Berserk.
Whoa, hold on. Berserk 87, 97, I don't fucking know, was pretty good, but
True.
we don't talk about Berserk 2016. Yeah,
Nah.
I actually clocked on while I was watching this that the events of this story take place during Sabaody, and it ends with the Straw Hats setting sail, and it suddenly made the fact that they decided to remaster Fishman Island make like way more sense to me, because you can watch this and then go straight into that Fishman Island remaster.
Oh,
Because like I wrote down like, can you imagine if you decided to watch One Piece in chronological order and then you watch this special with the animation as good as it is in this, and then you go into Vanilla Marineford, not Marineford, Vanilla Fishman Island, like that would be a very jarring experience. So at the very least, okay, the level of quality is maintained to some degree because you get to go into the remastered version of Fishman Island. So
I mean,
yeah.
it does all make a lot of sense because, post time skip, it's kind of like One Piece Shippuden,
Hmm.
so it kind of just makes it feel like it's its own separate show now that they're updating the art style.
Yeah.
Anyway, I liked all the plots. I liked the characters. I liked how they tied it all together. I would give this like a 9.
I will say
More more of this, please.
one thing that I found really funny that I saw on Twitter was when people were like, "Man, you can tell that Oda had no involvement in the making of this thing because the Nami fangirl is a teenager who actually looks like a kid instead of having super sexualized proportions." But then I watched the show, the special, and the whole time I completely forgot that this character is supposed to be a teenager because they look like they're 10. So now I just can't help but think that this is like the opposite extreme of like what Oda does, where like Oda gives them a body that's too mature, whereas in this instance they just make them look like a fucking 10-year-old. But you know
think
what? I'll take that over having another Nami clone. So
I don't think she looks that young. But yeah, I agree.
yeah.
It is time to have different body types in One Piece
Mhm.
for women.
Yeah.
Next is how I attended an all guys mixer.
Oh, I
Bro.
forgot about this. Yeah,
Yeah,
I watched this. I think I watched 2 episodes of this for some reason.
I only watched the first episode. I mean, this one it doesn't have much of a plot.
No, it really doesn't.
The plot is just that they go on like a blind date, I guess, with these girls, but then it turns out they're like cross dressers, so they're cross dressed as guys.
Yeah, they're drag kings basically
Yeah.
because they work at a cafe, but it's like a butler cafe type thing. But they're all
Yeah.
specifically women cross-dressing as men. It's like the niche that they're filling.
Oh, Japan.
Yeah.
What interesting dining establishments you have.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it was boring, but I'm obviously not the target audience of
I mean,
this.
the gimmick of the show is basically that like they're going on dates with cute girls, but they have short hair, so the guys are like, "Does this make me gay?"
He thinks I'm gay. Oh no.
It's so dumb.
Yeah. I mean, except that one guy who doesn't care. That's probably the best character because he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's just happy to be there.
I okay. I shouldn't be too mean about it because like on one hand, if you're a very rigid person who's maybe like a little bit repressed or whatever, and this is what you need for your self-discovery, having a slightly butch girl is like what that's like really out there for you, and it's like kind of an awakening or whatever. I don't want to make fun of that. Like that's all well and good. But then on the other hand, come on, bro. Like they're just women with short hair wearing pants. Dating a girl wearing pants does not make you gay.
That kind of reminds me of like when everyone was like, "Man, Lois in My Adventures with Superman is such a tomboy." That's what that reminds me of, and I'm just like, really? Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
Twitter does not know what a tomboy is. They see a girl with short hair and she's athletic. That's a tomboy.
Yeah.
Like, bro,
Yeah, I love the
whatever.
tweets where they're like, I love tomboys, and then it'll be like a girl with like giant tits and
Yeah,
like
I've
some
I've
muscle
seen a lot
definition.
of that. I don't remember the name of the anime, but she has the short gray hair and huge tits.
Oh, Uzaki?
Yeah, I've
Uzaki-chan?
seen her get called a tomboy.
That's
I'm
really
like, what are
funny.
you talking about?
Well, there was that one video that Trixie and May made where like it was them giving their whole take on like whether or not finding Uzaki-chan hot makes you a nonce. It doesn't, by the way. And
What?
Because she's short.
the video is literally just titled Uzaki-chan looks like a little boy. And
What?
and you
Oh my
know,
god.
it's quite possible that if you took away her booba, maybe she would. I don't know.
But that's just like anime, because all characters have the same face in anime. So if you
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a short person in anime, they do just look like a child.
that's like the thing that trips me up, like the same face thing. That's the thing that trips me up with fucking Evangelion, because like Misato does just look like Shinji with a wig on, and I can't get past that. So everyone who says they would love to fuck Misato, they're also saying they'd love to fuck Shinji, is basically the conclusion here.
Does that mean Misato is a narcissist and that's why she wants to bone Shinji?
Yes.
And she does, by the way.
I finally remember this person's name. If you want to know what a real tomboy is, look up the rapper Young M.A. That is a real tomboy, okay? Young Young M.A. That's a tomboy.
Oh. Oh yeah. No, yeah, it took my brain a
Mhm.
second to to register what was going on there.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
What were
anyways,
we talking? I
you were
totally blanked out.
you were talking about a show where a guy was feeling insecure about potentially being gay because they're dating a girl with short hair, which is so stupid.
Yeah.
Did anything interesting happen in the second
Um.
episode?
Okay, I'm trying to remember. First episode was karaoke, right? That's what happened in the first one.
Um,
Uh,
I can't
I'm trying
remember.
to remember.
Damn, it was that forgettable.
I'm gonna say no.
Jeez.
The only notable thing I wrote down is that I liked it that it took place in college and not high school. I thought
Oh
that
Oh,
was
yeah,
that's good.
interesting.
I always like when that happens because we don't have very many of those.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite manga is fucking Grand Blue Dreaming, and it's like one of the few like college anime manga like rom-com whatever the fucks that are out
Hmm.
there. And we need like way more of that. Like way more. Because then you won't ever have to feel weird when you're like, man, this character is hot. Wait, they're a junior student. Oh, I don't know how I feel about that. Like you never have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Pedophile cook.
Bruh.
Yeah, 5 out of 10. It was completely inoffensive and forgettable and kind of boring.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm sure this is for someone, but it's not for me. Next up is Dandadan.
This is a manga that I've had in my plan to read, and the trend that's been going on for quite a few seasons now. I've probably mentioned it in almost every seasonal we've done for like the past year at this point. Yet another anime that I have in my plan to read getting an adaptation. I'm telling you, man, there's just someone out there who's like, Coco ain't gonna read this shit. Let's just fucking animate it so that Coco can fucking actually consume this shit. Fuck. This was the first anime I watched, so I barely even remember the plot. There's these two kids that are super into like supernatural stuff. One is into aliens, one is into ghosts, but
Yeah,
both
there's a kid and he's getting bullied, and the Gyaru saves him, but then they immediately get into an argument about ghosts versus
because
aliens.
they're making
Yeah.
fun of each other for believing that one or the other exists. So they challenge each other to go. What one goes to like a tunnel that's
Hmm.
said to have a ghost there, and one goes somewhere
To
that
an
Hospital.
abandoned building that
Yeah.
aliens
Abandoned.
supposedly
Yeah.
visit.
yeah. And then they both find out, whoa, that the things do in fact exist, and
Are
kidnap the
very creepy.
the aliens kidnap the girl, and I'm like, oh yeah, classic seasonal shit is back because Aarlon, remember how like when we first started doing this show, like every season there was at least one extremely rapey scene in a show? So I gotta say, when those aliens started like trying to rape that girl, I was feeling pretty nostalgic. I was like, oh yeah,
Oh my god.
we're fucking, we're
It's
fucking,
it's so lame
We're so
because
back.
both sides were like molesters because the ghost was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna eat your dick.
and she did.
Yes,
But
she did. Yeah.
for the girl, we get like a shot of like the like alien
The robot
robot,
penis.
yeah, alien robot cock like over her doing that thing that like hentai does. And
Yeah.
then like for the guy, they just off-screened it. Like he got raped, but we didn't get to see it.
Wait, we don't see her bite his dick off?
I don't
No.
think so.
You
Uh,
see him running from her, and then the next time we see is when he like
He comes to the
teleports in.
phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
possessed.
Which is cool. It was a cool scene.
Yeah, that was awesome. So then
Hmm.
the ghost and the aliens start fighting, and it's pretty
mhm.
sick.
Yeah. Both the main characters are really fun and likable off the bat, I think.
Yeah.
I
Their designs were great too.
yeah, their designs are super good.
You know what it reminds me of? This made me think, oh wow, so this is what the relationship between Shinji and Asuka would be like if it wasn't toxic. That's what it made me think.
I guess I can see that.
Yeah, if it didn't end with one trying to choke the other.
Yeah, I do love them both. It's so funny how they go from like 0 to 100
Mhm.
like instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And incidentally, the main character, or the guy, because they're both the main characters, the guy has the same name as the
Oh yeah.
ideal BF
Yeah, an
guy.
actor she
It's an
likes.
actor, yeah. I didn't realize it was an actual actor that really exists, who's
Oh,
like
I didn't know
known.
that either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're known for
He's
being in
like
like
old now
crime.
though.
They're known for being in like crime thrillers and shit. So that was kind of neat. That was one of the that was because you know how like a lot of people say they're super into anime because they're like interested in Japanese culture, even though it's like total bullshit because anime is the only Japanese thing they consume. Um, that was one of the few times where I actually did feel like a sincere disconnect between myself and what I was watching because I didn't have that cultural context. I actually had to look that up. I was like, wait, who is this person? Um, and I'm not saying that as like a negative thing because obviously that's gonna happen with stuff made from other countries. But like, you know, it
Yeah,
was
it's interesting.
yeah,
But yeah, that was like the mic drop moment of the episode. It's like,
Mhm.
and by the way, they're gonna fall in love.
yeah. Wait, how many episodes did you guys watch so far?
I only watched the first.
I've seen 4, I think.
Uh,
So I'm like 2 episodes or 1 episode behind. The episodes after episode 1 are good too.
I completely forgot that this actually was going to move into the direction of being because I think this was made by Shonen Jump. So I had just like completely forgotten that this would do like battle shonen stuff. Um, but now the action is pretty good too.
Yeah, the
And
action's cool.
and it's actually kind of realistic because I like the fact that when the guy character, is like dealing with like monsters in the second episode, or was it the third? I can't remember. Like he's not able to just do that shit with ease just because he has a power up now. Like that
Nice.
that shit actually fucking hurts his body, and like they obviously hint at the fact that he's gonna have to like train to like strengthen his body so that he can actually
Mhm.
use the form, which
Yeah.
the form itself looks like a depressed Gear 5.
It does.
Because it
Yeah.
basically is Gear 5 but depressed. Because he gets super depressed and starts talking in a mopey voice when he's in it. Um, and I think he can only use it when he's near the girl. Is that how that works?
Yeah, because I think
She's
it might be
suppressing his
different in the
curse.
yeah, because she has to be able to make sure he doesn't go full turbo granny
Yeah,
thing.
Full dick gobbler.
yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much. And yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty good.
And the power type thing kind of it applies to the girl too, because we see her in the first episode
Oh
being
yeah,
super overpowered, but then in the following episode she actually is kind of limited and has to learn how to visualize the energy and stuff, and she has to do training too. So
was
it
it
is cool.
was it the second or third episode that they introduced the grandma?
I'm pretty sure it was because they needed her help.
Oh yeah,
Like,
and I gotta say, anime, if you want to have gilfs, just commit to actually having a gilf. Don't make them like an old woman that looks not old, okay?
No, she's old because she has 2 lines under her eyes.
and white
She doesn't even
hair.
have that. She doesn't even have the lines.
Yeah, she
I
doesn't
I
have lines. I don't think.
I got into this with some people on Twitter, and I was basically because some people are like, making an older woman like hot, that's like not you can't do that. That's impossible. They're old grannies. And I'm just over here like, listen, I know I'm outing myself as a chronic coomer right now, but listen, there are these two artists that immediately sprung to mind that I know of who are actually very good at making older women look attractive. Um, Arokira and what's his name? Etuzan Jacuzzi, something like that. And it's definitely possible, okay? And if your idea of making older women look hot is just making them look young, that's the laziest way to do it, in my humble opinion. Now, in all fairness, some people did say in the comments of my tweet that supposedly she made herself younger using magic so that she could
That's
live
even lamer.
live longer to take care of her granddaughter. Uh, but I don't like it.
Yeah, that's lame.
Trust me, guys. It's actually very possible to make older people look hot. Just saying.
But yeah, I'm like, this is definitely what I'm most excited for this season because
Hmm.
I've like always I was actually talking about this with you the other day, Coco. I've like always been way into uh like ancient aliens and like the occult stuff. I was more like what's the guy's name?
Takemura or something. Okaroon something. Ken
Ta Taka
Takakura, but the girl
Takakura.
calls him Akaroon.
Yeah, Okaroon.
Okaroon.
Well, Ken. I was always more like Ken. 'Cause I've never really believed in like supernatural stuff, but I did like watching like ghost shows and stuff on History Channel.
Hmm.
So this kind of like it makes me nostalgic for like, oh yeah, this is like shit I used to be into before like
Hmm.
right-wing conspiracy theorists and Nazis kind of ruined it for
Yeah,
me.
when they hijacked the conspiracy scene because it used to be
Yeah.
cool.
You don't
Now it
believe that
sucks.
9/11 was an inside job, Aarlon?
Hey, I mean, 9/11 conspiracy theories are still fun.
But on the other hand, they did make the ghost or the aliens rapey, but that's not as bad as making Shaggy a pedophile because that's like well they're evil aliens, so
You
like
know,
they
the
Yeah.
creature that they fight in the third episode really reminded me of the fucking genocidal captain from Bleach, the one who killed the fucking Quincy's. I don't know
oh
if
yeah.
that's just like an actual Japanese thing or if it was an intentional influence. I don't know. Like the face looked pretty similar. And then it
Man, the
and
designs in this are so good. I'm looking at the posters and it's got so much style to it.
yeah, the opening has a lot of style.
Dun, 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 dun,
Taran, 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 taran,
dun.
taran, 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 taran.
Banger.
Indeed. Bars.
This, by the way, had like easily the best animation of anything we watched.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Easily.
You know, the animation in this at the start, like especially how the coloring is done, it kind of reminded me a little bit of what is it? God of High
High
School.
school.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of that because of it has like the flat coloring, but then like the soft, subtle shading on like the nose and shit, kind of like God of High School does. I thought
Yeah.
maybe there was some staff overlap there. There isn't. But one thing that wasn't a coincidence though is that the opening of this show features Okaroon doing the fucking Devilman Crybaby run, and the director of this actually, oh, the studio actually, and the director did in fact do Devilman Crybaby. So it was a subtle reference to their own previous work. That was kind of neat.
That's funny. Yeah,
I,
really good.
I love how in my notes I just have written dog, giant mechanical penis, dog,
Giant mechanical penis.
and Jesus. Just when you thought we were done with seasonal anime rape, Dandadan comes in swinging with this near rape and mutilation.
I said in my notes, rape frowny face. But despite that, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Right up my alley.
Yeah.
Except for the rape, not the rape part.
I mean, I assume there will be future alien encounters that will not be rapey
Yeah.
aliens. So you can look forward to that.
We can only hope.
Yeah. Turbo Granny being a real, not real, but like a actual urban legend, I think is cool too in
Wait, that's a
Japan.
real urban
I
legend.
did not know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So that's
Oh,
fun. Yeah.
one of the notes I had written down about that, because in the dub, she she says, "I'll let you suckle on my tetas if you let me nom on your penis," and and I wrote down, I bet there are some people in this world who are so down bad that they would accept that offer.
When actually, I actually knew that that was real because they referenced that in Mob Psycho too. There's an episode where they're like looking, or like
Wait,
Reagan is investigating stuff or something.
so there is actually an urban legend about a granny ghost that wants to eat people's dicks.
I don't know if the eating dicks part is
It's
universal. Gotta do
yeah,
some
the part
research.
she's a very fast granny. That's the real
Yeah.
part.
Oh,
And they
right.
reference it in Mob Psycho where Reagan is like, oh, they're like looking into it and they're like, holy shit, she's coming at us, and then it just turns out to be like a normal old lady jogging.
That feel when the main character of this show got forced bottom surgery.
Damn. how do we feel about this season overall?
Well, with the few shows I watched, I actually felt like it was okay because I was able to escape the neon clutches of Aarlon this season because Eyeball was here, which means I wasn't made to watch garbage. So then, so
But I
then,
wanted you to watch Ghoul School so you could understand my pain.
Bobby.
Uh, I guess the season's okay. We got some pretty good. I mean, Dandadan is
Dan,
obviously the show of the season.
Yeah,
Everyone's
I
kind of
agree with
watching
that.
that. Yeah.
we got Dandadan and also Return of the King. Guys, do you know when Dragon Ball Super ended? That shit ended in 2018. Like,
Yeah.
fucking hell, man.
Yeah, Daima's great. That's a highlight of the season, and the Mecha-Ude does seem interesting. So I'll definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it quite on the level of like the season we did. I think the one before last that had like Go Go Loser Ranger and Windbreaker and all that stuff. That season was like I watched. I was like, "Oh my
Was that the
God."
same season that had Kaiju number 8?
Yeah, it was. It was like, oh my God, every show is like a 9. This is crazy. This season is just like it's got some really solid shows and it had some uh like mid shows, but like the highs weren't that high, but like it was all good, and the lows were not that low. Well, I can't even say that because like One Piece fan letter goes crazy.
Hmm.
So like
Hmm.
no, yeah, it was just a solid season.
Yeah, One Piece fan letter almost penetrated my cold steel soul, and
Bro.
and and I have to give it credit for almost doing that.
Almost.
Hey, that's something, man. I'm actually unironically so depressed that if I'm made to feel even a little bit of something, I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, I'd say like 7 out of 10 season personally, but I am very excited to check out more of Dandadan and Mechanical Arms.
Yes.
And man, episode 2 of One Piece fan letter, I'm so hyped for that. I would be so sad if it didn't come out.
Uh, yeah, we can get some Wano stories about the normal people in Wano. That'd be something. Better
Yeah,
yet,
that'd be cool.
you could make a Fishman Island story about the healing relationships between the humans and the fish people and how they're slowly trying to overcome that conflict thanks to Luffy and Jinbei showing that it is in fact totally possible for fishmen and humans to get along,
Yep, the
etc., etc.
potential do be
One
there.
Piece is a very big world. In
Yeah.
fact, now that I think about it, I'm actually very surprised that they haven't gone full Star Wars and been like, what if we made a One Piece expanded universe? You know,
Well, they kind of did that with Bleach, with making the
Burn the Witch.
Burn the Witch in the Bleach verse for some reason,
Yeah.
even though it makes no sense for it to be that way.
I can't wait for them to just be like, whoa, One Piece is over? No, it's not, because now we're gonna dedicate whole ass series to the other crews.
No,
We're
yeah,
gonna
they're
make
gonna do a two-piece
we're
and
gonna make
based on
a
Nami and Luffy's daughter.
we're gonna make a
Oh,
Law series, we're gonna make a Kid series, we're gonna
dude,
make a
Buggy
fucking
spinoff. I would
Oh
watch
yeah, I
that.
would
I
watch
love
the
Buggy.
fuck out of the Buggy spin-off.
I can't wait
Yes.
I can't wait for us to get the sequel to One Piece where Buggy is reveling in the fame of being king of the pirates. That'd be pretty cool. Because we all know it's gonna be Buggy.
I sure hope so.
Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts?
I got nothing.
Nah.
All right. Well, you can find me on YouTube at one with two N's or something, I think, but I need to change that. But I don't have any videos. I have a comic, Big
You
Billy's
can
Adventure
find him
Everywhere
on TikTok
XYZ.
with his really cool videos on 100 leveling manga,
No,
which
my,
is
my
so fun.
TikTok is dead, but I'm doing like the big 100 manhwas video on my YouTube. So
Uh,
look forward to that. And very soon, you're going to be able to play my game Tic Tac Shoot on
mhm.
iOS and Android.
The
It's pretty
Undertale Killer.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tic-tac-toe but with guns. It adds like a whole layer of strategy.
Typical American making everything gun themed.
Yeah.
Get a new gimmick already, Yankees.
Why don't you shout yourself out, Coco?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at Tamika Likes to Draw. You can find me on YouTube at Tamika Draws, and also I guess on Kick at Tamika Draws as well, even though it's been like 2 months since I last streamed.
I'll
Uh,
finish that VTuber rig for you any day now.
I occasionally stream, uh, and I don't actually make videos. I just think about making them, but maybe I'll actualize one of them. Who knows? But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Eyeball, do you have any socials or whatever you want to shout
I
out?
have Twitter. It's just at iballwart. I don't really tweet that much. I mainly just retweet other people's art. So if you want to see cool art,
It
give me a
is pretty
follow.
cool.
Yeah.
Lots
And
of weird and interesting stuff.
Indeed.
and yeah, that's all I got. I'd love to make videos, but I have not. So
Well, you're in one now.
whoa.
Eyeball's second episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. A
Mhm.
pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah. It was fun.
All right. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye.